funky facade here. Again, you know what's kind of funny? This guy looks like this guy without his clothes on. Doesn't it? It does. Have some shame, 152. Put your clothes back on. Going to go full screen. Okay. Building 141. Boundless. So, okay, seen a green roof. I'm not really sure how to describe this one. So we have this facade here, seems to be sort of geometrically aligned with this facade, and then this guy sort of responds to the plaza. I think I need image 2. Oh, beautiful sketches, and a really nice interior as well. It's quite nice. I always enjoy that sort of thin space inside atriums where the floor plate doesn't meet the facade. I always think that's quite cool, so I like that. These sketches are amazing. So we have a concept sketch for the building, and then we have a concept sketch for the exhibition space itself, which is nice. Ever since men have become attached to objects for their spiritual or material value. Not a very progressive sentence. According to one of Lebbeus Wood's theories, radical change in the built environment requires fundamental reforms in the way we think about everyday life. Again, it's sort of chill out with the text. Let's just have a look at the images here. Image 3. I like the facade. There's something really nice happening here with the reflective quality of the ceiling soffit on the top floor. And it gives the facade this real abstract quality. It's sort of painterly like in the sense that things are quite obscured and obstructed, but then also in the middle here quite visible and translucent. And I think I'm really interested in this. It's like a glass box with the spaces inside of it in a way. I think it's a nice image as well. Nice image. My question really is just the overall shape of the thing and why it is. See, the sketch here doesn't quite align with the aerial view. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. 4. It's a bit of a dull use of the space here from a composition point of view, in that 50% of the image just seems to be raw blank surface material. Again, we have that sort of reflective quality to the ceiling soffit here on this floor as well, which I think is unbelievable. I really love this. Really nice. It's a nice image overall, just a bit of a... I mean, it's like 2 images, isn't it? She's up here just chilling out, looking for her friends, and then everyone else, the party's happening down here, but it's fine. Image 5. Beautiful sketch again. Really nice sketch. I really like the choice of materials in this project, and I'm really interested in how that facade might work. Yeah, I think it's cool. Green roof, meh, they're boring, but I think it's a nice project. Okay, cool. Gonna move on to 142. Ma. This is an interesting choice of image in that they've seemed to have gone against the grain and taken their own photograph of the site. So 1, 2, 3, 4 seem to be the kind of permitted development that's going to be happening on the site. And we've got this guy, 5. And I think really my issue from this sort of choice of image point of view is that the proposal for the competition doesn't really distinguish itself well from the commercial development happening here. But that doesn't mean it won't be good. So let's see what else we have here. You know what, actually? I do quite like how this does look a little bit like a foam model, which is quite cool. But I think it's a 3D model. Image 2. Summary of design concept. This looks like a physical model and it looks really cool. Really interesting reference images here. Reclaim, store, cycle, purpose, new. Museums are not neutral. Really interesting diagrams here. Some really nice sketches. Excitement, doubt, attachment. Summary of design concept. Introduces a modern architectural language that is forward-thinking, elemental, and intuitive. Our goal is to achieve a stable, long-term solution where minor imperfections do not trigger a cascading or escalating effect. So there is a natural stone envelope, timber steel hybrid frame, precast high capacity, low carbon, thin shell concrete vaulted floor. A, B, and C here sound really interesting, really exciting. A little bit of a concern though that none of that is actually evident in your first image. Now, that does just ultimately come down to curation of the project, which is fine. Everyone can do whatever they want as far as I'm concerned. I think it's more that A, B, and C here is quite interesting. And I'm painting a bit of a visual image in my own head, but that's work that you're asking me to do, which I wonder is that going to work against the submission? So let's see. Beautiful aerial view photograph here. And I quite like how the choice of material on the museum itself actually distinguishes itself from the commercial development happening here. So again, maybe I'm just getting caught up on it, but this image works a lot harder for the project than this image. And this is an entire page, so 20% of your presentation. But anyway, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm interested. Image 3. Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Community engagement, ownership, exchange, education, collaboration, volunteering, access. I think just like sketches, I'm just a sucker for what looks to be a really beautiful physical model. Choice of materials is really interesting. This looks like it would be a really well-crafted piece of architecture. Image 4, stunning interior image, unbelievable. Beautiful watercolor. I think it's a watercolor. Yeah, image down here says a lot less again. Image 5, again, more beautiful watercolors, really nice references, some paintings. I think really what this submission makes me want to really talk about is, I mean, look, the rules are the rules. You have to follow the rules to an extent, right? I get it. The presentation required a certain type of material. But this seems like a proposal that was sort of held back by what was required of it. And that the aerial view isn't going to help the project. This waterfront view isn't going to really help the project in terms of selling it. So what they've done here is they've just kind of focused on the aspects of the project that they are interested in, which is an interesting strategy. But then what I do see that looks like it's, from the architect themselves, I love. Like even just the way these elements sort of thin as they sort of reach the top. There's a real sort of tectonic consideration for how the entire project is composed. And I think that's really exciting. I wish I could just see like 5 pages of this model, but I'm sure they're in the rest of the presentation that the public are not allowed to look at. Beautiful model, beautiful description, another big model, stunning interior watercolors. Although if I have to be consistent, they don't give me a lot of information in terms of atmosphere in the same way that a lot of the CGIs that don't have a lot of activity don't do the same thing either. Although there is a beautiful indication of how the structure and the surface and the interior would actually work together. So that's beautiful. I really love this. So 142, I wish I could just see more. I wish I could see more. So good work, absolutely. Moving on. Yeah, 142. Yeah, just sort of let down by this first image, but whatever. Moving on, 143, panoramic rise. Yikes, this thing is huge. It's like a tower with big bendy cuts in it. And a big, pointy, scary mouth. And then a roof garden island at the top. The design centers on a box building strategically aligned along the northern side. By not occupying the entire site, the proposal opens up the southern area. Not loving this so far. Image 2. I almost feel like these arrows should be pointing the other direction, simply to indicate that this big black box will be visible from everywhere. There is a consideration for how the program works and the interior works, and I don't think it's a badly considered design. I just think at the end of the day, I'm looking at how it would look, probably. It doesn't look that exciting, in my opinion. see image 3. No. See, because I look at this sort of truss that looks to be an escalator, and I almost wonder if this whole thing would work better if it was actually made out of a more elemental structure rather than a box with this cladding and these weird cuts that feel quite arbitrary, although I do like the sunset. I think that's my biggest problem with it, is it's quite difficult to read beyond big box. Yeah. Again, like the escalator doesn't even need this sort of, doesn't require this type of articulation, so it almost looks as though this sort of truss is just bolted onto it. But then there is like, there are some nice details here, the way in which the handrail sort of integrates with the desk space. It's quite nice. I almost wish, in a way I almost feel like this detail here should have been the primer for the project, if that's what the architect is interested in. But then somehow we just sort of ended up with this. I don't think it's bad work. I'm not very excited by it. But it's just my taste. That's it at the end of the day. Yeah, no, I don't think this one's a winner. Gonna move on. 144, 144. Oh, the new Museum of Architecture and Design is not a willful formal imposition on Helsinki, but a logical development of the site's potential. I think whether or not your project is a formal imposition on the city is up for the city to decide. But that's not me really criticizing this one yet. I just think that's more of a critique of the way a lot of the architects describe their projects. This ding, 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 I love. This, me, I don't love as much. This looks quite interesting, like a little shark pool in here. Kind of cool. And then this looks like maybe it could have done with a bit of a green roof, but I can't be unfair either. Let's see, next image. Does feel a little bit like an aquarium. I don't know, maybe this is just a personal thing. Murky water scares me. I have a real fear of it. Like, I don't like dark water. It really unsettles me. There's something psychologically uncomfortable about water that I can't see through within a space. For example, the ocean I can understand, but this feels like I'm expecting to see like a dolphin kind of fly out here and stuff. Nice use of caustics on the ceiling though. I like that. Look, this could be quite a nice project. I don't know yet. I'm just sort of kind of calling it as I see it. This space here, I would not feel comfortable sitting here. But that's just me. That's a personal thing. I'm not a fan. I have to say, this sort of external circulation with the glazing feels a little bit more like a housing development. But I sound like I'm being super unfair on this one, so let's just keep going. So again, like I do like this facet, this piece is quite nice. But then I don't know if the chunky stone is the right way to build it. And then it's a bit unclear why this bends like this. But then the translucent glazed screen that sort of wraps around the outside and goes inside, I kind of like. I think I'm a little bit just confused by this overall. Not to say that it's bad, I just don't know. This is quite a nice image. Image 4. Yeah, again, like I just think this project is a victim of its interior perspectives not quite selling the space. Now I understand there might be other images in the rest of the submission, all good. But it does just feel a little bit more like an aquarium. There is a nice idea about bringing the sort of the water inside. It just feels a little bit. Maybe it's the execution of the idea that I'm not as comfortable with. Image 5. References again. Nice reference for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think this one's just a miss for me. I just don't think it's selling its idea well enough to me. This is the image I think that really kind of concerned me about it. Like I don't even know how this would work. But anyway, I'll move along. I mean, are you allowed your boat in there? Can you swim to the museum? That would be nice. That's a nice idea. Arriving to the museum via wet. Okay, gonna move it on. 145. This would be interesting, but then I don't know what this big floating pebble is. So now I'm a little bit concerned. Image 2. Big sketch. Lots of text. Is this like a little bird? Image 3. This guy's pointing at it. Oh, because I'm so pressed for time, I actually want to be quite strict on this one and say, you can't get me an image 1, you can't get me an image 2, you can't get me an image 3. I only have concerns now by the time I get to image 4. I see the alto vase in image 5, and I'm a bit underwhelmed by it entirely. So I think I'm just going to move on. I don't think your work's bad. I'm just saying it's not selling itself to me quickly enough. That's a me problem. That's all good. It's all good. 146. What? Walls, ships, and forests. The joint between natural and built elements. Someone mentioned in a previous video that there's a real question as to why no one integrates the park behind with the project by actually inclining the other direction. They all seem to go up this way. Once again, it looks like we're seeing the classic 180 pivot. And this guy reminds me a little bit of one of those scrappers from Star Wars. Let's see, image 2, really nice interior. I don't know if I enjoy whatever this white is. I almost wish that was brick as well. It rises or falls depending on whether you're coming or going. Diagrams are a bit unclear. I don't think I like the sort of party here in general. Image 3, nah. Nah, it's just not for me. Although I do like, to a point, I like the sort of dedication to the brick. But then why is everything not brick? Do you know, like, there's some incredible pieces of architecture that are just really, really, really dedicated to the brick module. And this sort of feels like there is an interest in doing that, but then not quite. There's like, they have their doubts also. And again, I'm imagining that this soffit would be brick slips. Just don't know what this white is. It's okay. Image 5. Yeah. No, not for me. Don't think this one's a winner. Gonna move it on. 147, threefold. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3 chunky bits. Big external stair in the middle. Green roof. All the classics. All the hits. Image 2. Big heart. Big heart. Pie chart. Interesting interior. Big chunky steps. Giant floating triangle. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be critical in a way that isn't simply just calling out all the shapes that I see on a page. Really nice sketches. I wish they had come earlier. I would have just given this entire page these sketches. It's a bit meh, it's okay. I don't know. I don't think this edge works well with this project. Don't really know why this little chunky box just sort of peeks out over the top. It's fine. It's okay. I don't have a lot more to say. Gonna move on. 148. I see a box, and then I see a little thin box. And I see a little dark box up here. And I see a little circle with a box in it. And I see a flat box with a circle in it. And I see 6 different architectural ideas, all just kind of together. Image 2. Cool section. Just doesn't feel very modern. And when I say modern, I don't mean 20th century architecture. I just mean it doesn't feel very contemporary. It feels a bit old, a bit classical in a way. And not in a good way. Domes in 2024, really? No, not for me. Interesting use of the golden section, of course, but I don't think it's really that suitable for what this project needs. Too many different pieces and elements all happening here at once and sort of all not very working well together. It's just my takeaway from it. And then the quality of the images is like fine. So if you're going to have like an idea that's not great, oversell it to me then with some beautiful images. But this one kind of really doesn't do well at either. So sorry, 148, I'm going to have to move it on. 149, a magical realism, very atmospheric image. Really interested in this. This is kind of cool. Little pointy triangular windows here. This guy looks like he's just kind of dumping all the sewage out into the water. No, I'm joking. I don't mean to be unfair. This looks quite nice. Let's see, next image. Why do we imagine? Why do we dream? Why do we create? Of course, to see the world again. A museum built from wood, steel, copper, and stone, placed under compression and tension in a simple manner. An axial composition placed in its surroundings, not fully acontextual nor contextual in its nature. A building with multiple worlds, multiple dreams, multiple creations, and endless optimism to face tomorrow. A building of action and function. A building of spirit and soul. I kind of like this. I kind of like how they just sort of stuck with what they wanted to do. Got this little pointy hat, these little pointy windows, and these little rotated square cuts, little diamonds. And then this image is awesome. Love this. Really nice atmospheric images. I think as a theoretical exercise, this project's really interesting. I think as an entry for a competition for a project where the building needs to be built, I don't know. So, image 4. Again, like, love the image, very atmospheric, really interesting, but probably not a winner. Probably not that practical to build. Still detail, could be tricky. Reminds me of, I don't know, some type of... Reminds me a little bit of like a circus tent or something, but I mean that in a good way. It's quite playful. I love this little bold little splash of materiality here. It's kind of nice. It's a really effective way of sort of showing me everything without showing me anything at all. I mean that as a compliment. I quite like it. Okay. Look, I like this project just because of how kind of dedicated you were to the way of selling it. There's one hand at work here. And when I say one hand, I mean one vision. So maybe multiple hands, one vision. And that's nice. Because some of the projects we've looked at looks like it has 3 different departments designing it via committee. And they're really easy to spot. So image 1, image 2, another little tasty little splash of material there. Yeah, it's quite a cool presentation. Interesting references. Yeah, cool. Cool project. But I don't think you'll win. I do not think you'll win. But good work. 150, Helsinki steps. Big sketch. Big sketch. Sketch over a 3D model from the looks of it. Key aspects of the site-specific design. Design provides a solid bookend towards the market square. The rotating and stepping form. The rotating and stepping form enables the creation of platforms and openings, which connects the building with the cityscape of Helsinki in a dynamic way. I love the image. I love the model. I love the choice of material and the colour. It's a very vibrant, exciting, effective image. The design itself, I'm not so sure yet. This looks really interesting, and I want to know more. So let's get stuck in. Image 2. Yeah, it's nice. Really interesting use of the axo here to kind of sort of explain everything elementally, which is quite nice. How the circulation works, how the structure might work, how the key parts of the project work. This is a beautiful image right here. I can't tell if it's a physical model. I think it's a 3D model. If it's a physical model, I apologize. It's fantastic. If it's a 3D model, it's still a really clever way of using a 3D model so as to make it look like a physical model. Big fan of that. Central concept theme 1, the architecture and its integration with the city. Concept theme 2, crust and court. Crust ain't a good word. Central concept 3, user engagement. Let's see image 3. Really beautiful image as well. Really beautiful image. Image 5 references. I think I like a lot of parts of this project. I don't love it holistically. I can't quite understand sort of what's generated the form and why it looks a little bit like some bits are high, some bits are low, some bits are deep, some bits are shallow, some bits bend, and some bits are quite angular. And I understand that that's work I have to do, but like this image down here is beautiful. And then this one, I wonder if it's the pen marks that are actually making this more difficult for me. In that by seeing the line work over the model, the architect is sort of pushing a hierarchy on me that might not actually be that clear and obvious. So let me explain. For example, this is highlighted, this is not. This is highlighted in 2 different ways. And then this is reading like one opening with the pen mark, but in reality, that's not the opening, that's the opening. Sorry, I know I'm getting quite nitty and gritty about it, but this is quite difficult because not everything has sort of been sketched over, and I think that that's an intentional decision. For example, what are we actually showing here with the line? That's all. That's all. It's making it quite difficult to read. And again, it's sort of similar here. See here, like this has been sketched. I don't know. Look, I think this is a cool project. I love the choice of material. The green's really bold. It might not be appropriate, I don't know, but I quite like it. It looks to be a ceramic, really exciting. Maybe I'd be concerned about the scale of the ceramic tiles themselves and that they could blow away or get damaged. This image is fantastic. This looks exciting, might be a little bit fussy from a construction point of view. Looks almost borderline parametric with how it would actually work. A lot of swoops and curves and bends. This looks awesome. This looks exciting. This little insert, like I love it. I love it. It's like you've got this chunky little block and then you've got these really delicate fine insets. Love it. Beautiful image here. I've talked a little bit about this. It's quite scary and quite dominant. I think that's my biggest criticism from this point of view. Interior space, wonderful, looks fantastic. I think this is a good project. I'm not sure how I feel about it overall. Might come back to it. 150 Helsinki steps. Don't know if I would have named it that, considering the steps themselves don't seem to be the largest part of the project. Just my opinion. Beautiful sketch, beautiful images. Not sure how it will play out on my personal playlist at the end, but let's see. Good work. Okay, moving on. Next project, 151. CB 177111. Our design unites Helsinki maritime heritage. Okay, yeah, I've read that sentence a billion times. Looks like we got 2 big glass rectangular boxes here. We got this big bendy swoopy ramp. We got a staircase here. It looks like we've got, oh, this is kind of interesting actually. This has tricked me into thinking this was a basement level, but it's not. It's sort of like a fake level. That's kind of cool. Okay, let's see, image 2. Really nice side diagrams, big time, yeah. I wonder if they're in the right order. Oh no, they are. One, I was reading them wrong. They're going left to right, like a book. Should have been going up and down, then left and right. That's what the numbers are for. So I'll shut up. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Diagram illustrates the original state of the site. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. I think the visual quality of the diagrams is very nice. I think the page overall is very nice. The information that the diagrams are giving me, though, it's not that clear yet. Site's clear, yeah. So this looks like 1.3, we go from a building, but then we go to 2.1, we go to a smaller building, then 2.2, we go to a bigger building. In 2.3, we've got these yellow light viewpoints here. The servant spaces. Image 3. Wow, this doesn't feel like this, but maybe it's just more to do with the visual, different choice of visual style for the images. I did not expect this thing to look like a little wobbly inverted pyramid. It looks quite funky, and we've got this big opening hole here, and it's sort of being like penetrated by this long escalator thing going through it. And we got the horizontal banding, the translucent glazing, quite opaque, frosty, which is quite nice considering the image is quite chill and frosty. Bit of a snow time image. I think this is quite an interesting project. I just think visually it's a little bit everywhere. Image 4, city as architecture. It's not your fault. 151, but again, just the lobby spaces are just always so dull generally. Image 5, references. It's okay. I think it's fine. I think this is a really exciting, provocative project here, this viewpoint. Everything else, though, not so sure. For example, yes, this ground area, this sort of public external lobby is quite complicated to a point. But this and this don't look that complicated. Not so complicated that you would argue it would require 7 diagrams to explain it. But that's just my opinion. Meh, it's okay. It's okay. 151. I like it. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if it will win. Gotta move on here. Next project, 152, ILM. ILM. This is kind of a funky image because it looks like it's all been like distorted a little bit, sort of warped and just, and in the building as well has been. Again, another example where they haven't used the sort of stock image that everyone else has used. Image 2. I know it's located in Helsinki, capital of Finland, thank you. The answer to the needs of the society. I doubt this museum's going to answer anybody's needs as a society, but you can try. Funky facade here. Again, you know what's kind of funny? This guy looks like, wait for it, looks like this guy without his clothes on. Doesn't it? It does. Have some shame, 152. Put your clothes back on. Oh, okay, next image. To be fair, I much prefer this one to the previous one, or to the one we were just looking at. It's way nicer this way. Again, I imagine that the facade and the screen here would be well detailed. It's very exciting to look at. Looks like there's quite a lot of activity happening in here. Not really sure how this works. If we're looking at some type of curtain motif where the glass is supposed to read like a fabric, I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know what these things are. And the arches at ground floor, I'm not so sure about. Cool image here. Overall, it might just be too tall. Image 4. Interiors, cool. This looks like cardboard. I don't mean that in a bad way. It looks kind of cool. Sort of fretted-ness of all the materials. And then the arches just don't feel really like the project needs it. Yeah, cool drawing here, I guess. I think this is an interesting, cool project. I just think, again, it's just sort of too tall somehow. Or it looks too tall, like a tower, like a glass tower with this arched sort of colonnade at the ground floor. Don't hate it, don't love it. Gonna move it along here. 153. This is the time and place for something new. A museum for everyone, confident, something that is all excitement and anticipation, intriguing and maybe a bit of an enigma in its neighborhood. I see sort of 2 circular bits that are wrapped together by this like external skin, and then they just put a green roof on it. I don't mean to sound like I'm in a mood today. I'm calling it as I see. Oh, boom, look, I was right. We took a circle, we cut it in half, then we just sort of, and then we have this dynamic structure. This is actually quite a nice, this is actually a really powerful way of explaining a concept, and I actually like it. It's nice. It's straightforward. Image 3. But this is more powerful than this. And again, it's what I've talked about in previous entries. the real skill, it's not, the skill isn't sort of finding a concept through a metaphor. The skill is translating the metaphor into a piece of architecture. And that is what is difficult. And when I have spoken before, the one about the swan comes to mind. It's very difficult to kind of subtly bridge that gap. And I don't know if this has done that. This to this, I'm not convinced. Although this, for what it is, could be interesting. I don't know. This looks quite tall. This here looks quite nice. Image 4. Interior, it's fine. Not exterior. References, again. Didn't need the references, although this is beautiful. Beautiful images. It's okay. I think that's basically my best way of summing it up. The leap from this to this just isn't strong enough for me to really love it. Good work, though. Going to move it along. 154. Stackscape Blockhouse. Blocky terraces. Although I do quite like the orientation of this. That's quite nice. I hope I get to see a plan. I love how vibrant and saturated the water is in this image. It's quite nice. Everything's usually quite chill. I see a little diagram up here. Okay, let's see. Image 2. Doesn't look as good from here. Image 3. It looks okay, actually. You know, it's quite nice in a way. Like from this point of view, it looks as though, it looks like the project is sort of doing a good job of concealing its overall mass. In that it's a stacked series of boxes, which makes sense. But that's kind of nice. So that when you look at it from here, it actually doesn't look too egregious in its scale. This is, again, just looks like a little blob. But that's not their fault. That's just generally, very few of these images are successful. Image 4, interior. I don't know what this is. It's funny. I wouldn't advise someone to actually put a sculpture so close to what is a spiral staircase, in that it's very much taking attention away from your architecture for this image. But that's just my observation. This interior is quite interesting. It's a shame that the window detail looks like it's made from aluminium. Like, I understand why, but just when everything else has this like warm timber feel to it. Also not sure how it's supported. I don't know. Maybe I hope they know how it's supported. Image 5. It's an interesting project. I think if I had not already looked at 153 projects before it, I'd be more engaged with it. But this is probably the best image, I think. The one that has me most interested in it. External staircase. Box ticked. There it is. Green roof, box ticked. Good work, just not my favorite. Moving on. 155. This looks kind of cool. Into this, yep. Don't know if I like this little bendy bit. Does look a bit like a game console, but not a criticism. Let's see more. This is beautiful. These diagrams don't help so much. A lot of text. I have to be honest, it's a nitpick. Turn the lights down a little bit. It's way too vibrant, way too loud, and it's detracting from what looks to be a really interesting project. I mean, we even have a bit of lens flare going on here. It looks like there is like Burning Man is happening inside your project. And down here as well. Image 4. Yeah, again, like it's like the village is burning outside. It's crazy. Sorry, I'm being mean to the artist or whoever made the images. I just think it's a really cool project. It would be nice to see it at a different time of day, maybe. I mean, that's quite nice, but it would be nice to see it on a cloudy day. Let's put it that way. References. I think what I see here is really interesting. I want to see more of it, but the presentation doesn't give me more overall. So I'm gonna have to move on. But I think it looks cool. Definitely. I love this little bendy lip and this little swoop. And then we've got a real confident straight line here. But then we have this like mound thing happening there, which I don't love. And then this is like down here. Yeah. Eh. Could be good. I don't know if I think it is good. Interior. Show me some art. Show me some architecture. Some exhibition stuff. But it's a lobby. Okay, gonna move it on. 156. Got some like spinning plate and saucer thing going on here. Little splash of vibrant pink. Little bit of shiny bowl. Little bit of green roof. Image 2. Lotus plus bold. Sorry. Lotus plus ceramic bowl plus rock equals Museum of Future Building design competition. Imagine the city where the earth meets the sea. To work in the dimension of transition, and it is not said that it's just a place of quiet relation. Could be a place of clash and collision. Be clashes and collisions if somebody drops that plate and smashes it. What is the idea here? Well, sorry, no. This is the idea. I think it's gonna be a no for me. Funky looking columns for sure. They look a little bit confused too. Lamp design, Guggenheim, fluid, opera house, earth solidity, simple geometry. I don't know. Don't love it, but the presentation, quite simple. I just think it's sort of out of sequence in a way, but I understand the rules are the rules. Not a winner for me. Would be very interested to see what the jury think. Just a little bit too much on the conceptual, abstract side, I think. I mean, if it rains, this is going to fill up with water, and then it becomes a swimming pool. And I don't know if that was a good idea. But anyway, moving along. 157. Design hall. A place of and for assembly of people and things. This looks cool. This looks very cool. Sorry, there's one more here. Okay, this is interesting. Before I look at another image, I'm just going to point out what I find interesting. This sort of looks like a project that's quite cleverly having its cake and eating it, in that the way in which the project is positioned on the site responds to these buildings, but they've been clever with the way that the landscaping works, in that it responds geometrically with these buildings. And I think that's kind of cool. Now, I apologize if there are 156 projects before this one that have also done that and I've just missed it, but this one just is standing out to me. So that's one thing that I like. I like the way in which the massing is sort of obstructed by these little steps. Now, I've seen these projects before that I've already quite liked, in that you've got that stepped blocking, which works quite well. Then it looks like there's almost 4 layers within the facade, and that there looks to be this like sheet-like material. Then there's like an external vertical skin. Then there is this giant truss-like structure. Then I'm imagining there's an internal lining in behind it. So that also excites me. Then the use of this image is quite well. And again, anyone who's been watching so far will know, love a little thin roof like this with a little kind of sky pocket here for people to chill out in, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm excited. I like it. Let's see what they have to say. I like the idea of it being, the museum being a place of and for assembly of people and things, Welcome humans, be a good host, open one's doors to all. Okay, let's see. Image 2. Beautiful drawing. Absolutely beautiful drawing. Diagrams, fantastic. Reference. This is a clever page in that they have integrated their choice of reference with their actual proposal through the diagrams here. That you're seeing that there are other formal references that have been used to sort of generate the form of their project, which I quite like. From the passenger ferry to a blimp hangar to the design hall. Interfacing city and sea, a singular and enduring form. I love a good confident form. Just, there it is. Rectangular box, and we're going to make it beautiful. We're going to make this box the most beautiful box. Sometimes that's so much more effective than when you get swooping ball, giant angular arch, curvy, twisty bit, bending into this thing, melting into that thing. It's just like, just sometimes simplicity. So let's go to the next image. Yeah, really love the graphical style of the images too. Not quite photorealistic, not quite collage, a little bit more illustrated in a way, but then there's a 3D model at use, which is quite nice. I love the different, I mean, I have to be honest, maybe there's one layer of skin too many, but down here this is quite effective. Image 4. Like, this image is really effective also in that it's sort of playing with scale and perspective a little bit. It almost has a domestic scale to it, but a lot of the ideas of the project are sort of visible through it as well. Maybe I'm not explaining that so well. I love the splash of color, and I love the sort of pastel tones that are used generally for the elements that aren't structural. The stair here, inside this tall thin space, and all these little bits and pieces, these little bold splashes of color. This is a beautiful drawing. It might be one of my favorite drawings that I've seen so far. And then they've been clever in that the section that they've chosen here is probably the most exciting section of the project. And we have not seen enough good sections in this competition, so it's another reason why I'm really going to hang on this one for a little bit. But even just they've been clever with the choice of where the cut line is through the section, and that they've managed to show every single interesting part of the project in one drawing by going through the thin roof space here as well. So well done. So 157 design hall. Oh, love this. Love it. Love it. Also, can I just say, from a construction point of view, this actually might be quite simple to build and maybe not that expensive in terms of what could be built. Of the 156 projects we've seen before, some of these things would really break the bank. This one feels quite modest in a way. I mean, hopefully there's a lot of investment. Hopefully the project has the funding to kind of make the simple things well, but this one seems quite viable in a way. Big fan. Image 5 references. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this one much more. 157, I think you might be my favorite project in this episode so far. Really hope this one goes far. So, yeah, all the best, and let's move on to the next one. 158, connection. See, this is sort of exactly what I'm saying. This is so much less confident. I can already see 5 or 6 different ideas here, and the project is less than the sum of its parts. I can already confidently say that. That doesn't mean your work is bad. It's just frustrating. Image 2, too many diagrams. None of them seem to be that clear. Image 3. Yeah. Image 4. Nice interior. Nice interior. I've seen this done with concrete before in museums, and it is very nice. Don't know how the stair works. Image 5, references. I'm just not going to spend much time on it. And I think it's more to do with what came before it. But sure, it's fine work. Sure, the architects worked hard on it. Gonna move on. 159. And again, like, this thing's just very inelegant or unelegant. Envisions the AD Museum as a poetic synthesis of the urban environment and Baltic Sea coastline. Big words, big words. Quite scary looking. The pointy buildings are always a little bit scary, I have to say. Image 2. Nice diagrams. It's funny in a way. I mean, I've made this point before. Sometimes the abstract quality of the diagrams sort of sell the project better than the photorealistic visuals, which of course will not actually be reflective of the build quality of the building at the end of the project either. But this not as interesting as this, in my opinion. Image 3, night image is cool. Perforated brick, giant triangular, geometric openings. Reminds me a little bit of the London School of Economics in London, in Holborn. But that's brick. Image 4, big spiral stair. Image 5. I think we've seen quite lumpy projects before, but are better articulated in a way where they feel less lumpy and they feel more sort of muscular in a way, in that they're big but they don't feel as big. This feels quite big, in my opinion. Daytime and nighttime. Cool image though. So no, I'm not a massive fan of this one. Gonna move on. 160. This is, am I going crazy? This one looks like it's bending a little bit as well. Like it's a little bit, anyway. Yeah, like the Leaning Tower of Helsinki. An urban building is a way of relating nature, architecture, and the city in a specific place. Yep. Image 2. Kind of like how the circulation wraps around here. We've got these vertical elements. Green roof. Big external stair. Image 2. This is kind of a nice image, but the choice of material is quite cold. It doesn't feel like a public building, and they also sort of have that interior pool thing going on, which again, this is blue, so it doesn't scare me as much as the murky one that we looked at before, but I don't think it's practical, and I don't know if it will work. Diagrams, very complicated. Image 3. This is just very cold and very sort of sterile in a way, just from my reading of it. It's like you have this sort of exoskeleton with these translucent boxes in behind it, and then this pool flowing through it. Maybe that could be nice. It's just very cold and very white. Not very white, very grey. Just doesn't feel like a museum. Although the spaces, I'm sure, are quite nice. And then references. No, I don't love it. I don't love it. No. So that's okay. So this is a 20 project episode. I think there's been some really good ones. So so that's good. That's refreshing. Some good, some bad, some not so good, some not so bad. So I think that's another episode wrapped. Coming up on an hour here. I am working on a way to complete this before the deadline, which I think is November 29th. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I am working on a way to get these projects reviewed before then. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and chat soon. All the best. Goodbye.